Rip and tear has been the mantra of Doom, especially in Spirit, for as long as Doom has existed, and there's a lot of ripping and tearing to be done in Doom Eternal. And that's not just true from a quality standpoint. No, there's tons of variety to this ripping and tearing as well. Doom Eternal brings back a lot of demons from Doom 2016, it brings back demons from older Doom games, but more excitingly, it also introduces entirely new ones of its own as well, and terrifying ones at that. Two of these, perhaps the two that stand out the most, are the Doom Hunter and the Marauder, and here in this feature, we're going to talk about both in detail and go over everything to do about them, from their lore to their design, to how they operate during combat in the game itself, and much more. Let's save the more notoriously and painfully frustrating one for last though, and start with the Doom Hunters. And what exactly is the Doom Hunter? Well, essentially, it is a Doom Slayer. The Doom Hunter encounters this new enemy when he's on the hunt for Dagranek, one of the three Hell Priests, and the lore for this monstrosity is, unsurprisingly, quite intriguing. Lore has been one of Doom's biggest strengths since its Doom 2016 revival, after all. The Doom Hunter is born, in a manner of speaking, of another type of ancient demon called the Agadon Hunter, which originates from the Talos realm. Though they were thought to have all died out and gone extinct during the conflict, they would go on to re-emerge in a different form. It stalked the Earth many millions of years ago, but its remains would go on to be found in the Antarctic, where it had essentially been hibernating millennia later. Excavated by cultists from the UAC, which has fallen completely under the spell of the forces of hell by the time Doom Eternal begins, these remains were then brought back to life and repurposed by the UAC and by the Hell Priest Dagranek. A Doom Hunter is designed for a very specific reason. As its name suggests, the Doom Hunter is an arch nemesis of the Slayer, and its one and only goal is to hunt down and kill the Slayer and his fellow warriors of the Night Sentinels. And to help it accomplish that Herculean task, it is also equipped with fittingly devastating weapons. From a plasma cannon to missile launchers to a dual-bladed chainsaw, it's more than capable of posing a formidable threat. It's also heavily armored and also has the ability to hover using jet propellers below and behind it. The Doom Hunter also has two forms, both equally menacing in different ways. In its first form, it has tons of hard-hitting weapons equipped, but it moves a little slower. In its second form, though it loses some of its weapons like the plasma cannons as well as its shield, it also becomes much faster and much more aggressive. Both require different tactics, but both pose an enormous challenge. While it's advisable to come stocked with plenty of weapons, larger ones preferably, and plenty of ammo for them to deal with the first form, the second form demands much more agility and mobility. Clearly, the Doom Hunter lives up to its name and its visual design, an imposing figure with a ridiculously large and muscular body, tons of mechanical and cybernetic enhancements, and demon horns adorning its head, does justice to both its name and its fearsome abilities in combat. But it's fair to say that even this beast isn't much of a threat when compared to Marauders, the bane of every Doom Eternal player's life. Marauders. A world without Marauders would be one without screaming angry players, without multiple death screens, and without many controllers smashed to smithereens in frustrated fits of rage. But it would also be a world without one of the most brutal, terrifying, and formidable foes this legendary series has ever thrown at us. And looking at the series' long and storied history of brutal, terrifying, and formidable demons, that's really saying something. While the Night Sentinels, Doomslayer included, were perhaps the biggest threat faced by the forces of hell, as evidenced by the fact that they made Doom Hunters specifically to counter that threat, not all Night Sentinels were their enemies. No, during the Civil War in Sentinel Prime that actually led to the destruction of Argent D'Nur and its absorption by Hell, there were many in that order of elite warriors who actually did not fall on the side of the Loyalists. These Night Sentinels defected and chose to fight against their former brothers in arms, enlisting the armies of Khan Makir instead. Inevitably, each and every one of them fell, but death was not the end. As we learn in Doom Eternal, the reasons the Makir became so interested in Sentinel Prime and all of Argent D'Nur to begin with is so they can use Argent energy as a replacement for the energy they lost following the Father's disappearance, so they could at least have some alternative to their transfiguration capabilities. And they used that energy in other ways as well, for instance on the Night Sentinels that fought for their side. After these defectors fell in battle, the Makir would resurrect them, and then with a fusion of energy from Hell and Urdok, enhance them to turn them into even fiercer versions of their former selves. With their fearsome horns and tall and muscular frames, they look suitably demonic, while the remains of battle armor they still wear look hauntingly similar to a Praetor suit or the armor that the Knight Sentinels used to wear. In combat during gameplay, Marauders are an absolute pain. Each and every one of them is equipped not only with a super shotgun, but also with a massive double-bladed battle axe made of Argent energy. From a distance, they can either fire off blades of Argent energy from an axe or rush in with surprising speed for an up-close melee attack. When at close range, not only can they do massive melee damage, but they can also use their super shotguns to devastating effect. From a defensive standpoint, they're equally formidable as absolute tanks. They can take heavy amounts of punishment and can even use their axes as shields to deflect and block basically anything you can throw at them, which means you have to pick and choose very carefully the exact moment to fire at them. Either that or you can get behind them to attack them from the rear, but that's no cakewalk either, owing to how agile they tend to be. And to top it all off, Marauders can even summon Hellhounds who can surround the Doomslayer and leap at him from distances to bite chunks of flesh out of him. Without a shadow of a doubt, Marauders are among the deadliest and most challenging foes not only in Doom Eternal, but in the entire series as a whole. And together, the Marauder and the Doom Hunter are proof of the fact that when it comes to designing excellent enemies, no one can beat id Software at their game. And that wraps it up. If you like what we are doing, please consider subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to switch on the bell notification icon. That way you will never miss out on any of our videos.